Welcome to this first edition of Channel 97 News for 2013.
We come to you today from the hall just outside Mr. Taylor's room, home of the Oakville Speech and Debate Team. And here's a look at just some of the stories you'll see on today's show.
We take a look at two sophomores who are scoring big points for the speech and debate team.
We visit a local donut shop, and it's not the one you might think.
We go to the court to examine the case of two promising basketball teams.
And we go behind the scenes to show the work the leadership class went through to set up today's all-school assembly.
We'll have all that and much more in today's edition of Channel 97 News.
And it all starts now.
Welcome back to Eyes on the Tigers Channel 97 News. I'm Dan Altman.
And I'm Laura Pickler. Our first story examines the legend of the Spirit Stick.
You may have seen signs like these regarding the Spirit Stick in senior A&Ps around OHS. But what is the Spirit Stick and where did it come from?
The Spirit Stick is just, it's actually a piece, that embodies the class or the excitement about Oakville High School. I mean, it's not something that's native to our building or our community, so it's really just a fixture that hopefully gets people excited about being at Oakville High School.
The Spirit Stick was originally the property of an old woman from New Orleans. While visiting the grave of voodoo witch Madame Laveau, the woman crossed paths with an ex-Oakville teacher to whom she passed on the Spirit Stick. The stick is now displayed in the office where it serves as a symbol of class supremacy.
A bunch of us came up with this year to increase competition between classes so that when we have things like the canned food drive, things that like on Spirit Days when we say, okay, the X amount of classes, how many freshmen dressed up as whatever, wore school colors, wore their own colors. And so that during A&P, we count and then whatever class has the most, they win the Spirit Stick, and then it will hang outside of their administrator's office.
The seniors are currently in possession of the Spirit Stick after their victory in the canned food drive.
You know, we're hoping to change some traditions. Over time, I think the idea of having fun at school went away. It's okay to have fun here. It's okay to laugh and carry on, so long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, but school shouldn't feel like a prison, and I hear kids say that all the time, and this is just one more step towards changing that idea or changing that climate, changing a tradition to being excited about something. School is exciting. I mean, I know math isn't, and I know reading certain things aren't, but being at school with your friends and achieving things and doing well and knowing that when you work hard it pays off, that should be exciting.
With photographer Alex Hugerich, I'm Kira De La Fuente for Channel 97 News.
Our speech and debate team has had a successful start to the season. Here's a story about two students who have played a big role in that success.
Two OHS debate students, Ellie Sona and Vince Marinero, both made finals at the Pattonville tournament in December. What they didn't expect for the final is that they'd have to face one another.
Well, it was the Lincoln Douglas topic that they were debating. I don't remember now who was pro, who was con. At Pattonville, they went all the way down to the final round, so they would have met each other. And what happens is we brought it back here, and we had three teachers who, two of them had been assistant coaches on the team before, who judged them, and we did that in the cafeteria. It was excellent. In fact, I talked to each of the judges afterwards, and each one of them said it came down to the last speech.
We just debated the same thing that we'd been debating all tournament, pretty much the same way that we'd done it at Pattonville.
But we need to make sure we're not also violating liberty at the same time.
But isn't part of the social contract that people have to give up some rights to their government?
Ellie ended up winning over Vince by a very slim margin.
When it gets that close, it gives you an idea of the caliber of the debate.
Facing off against each other hasn't affected Ellie and Vince's attitudes for future debates.
We do practice rounds a lot with each other, so it wasn't that different.
It didn't really affect the team's balance or anything. It was just good for the team, I'd say, because it showed that we can compete at the tournaments.
You get out of it what you put into it, and not just individually, but also as a team. So if you work together as a team, you can share resources. If you get prepared for a competition, you'll do well. They've both got a lot of talent. They can both, not just themselves, but also a few other people on the team, are national possibilities for this year.
With photographer Laura Pickler, I'm Joe Keller for Channel 97 News.
If you like donuts, you should be interested in this next story. Dan shows us a local donut shop that is not like the others.
Many of us have seen the new Dunkin' Donuts that opened up right here on Telegraph Road. But what you may not know is that there's another donut house that's a little closer to the Oakville community. Just behind Oberweis Dairy on Telegraph Road is the Ex-Cop Donut Shop.
I'm a former police officer, my wife and I, and with being a cop, always got teased about liking donuts. And it was actually true, I love donuts. So we moved out to Telegraph in Oakville about 7 years ago and realized there was no donut shops out here. We decided with our Italian background with baking, with Italian cookies, cannolis, we figured why not open up a bakery / donut shop. 13 years, we just decided there was just better, bigger and better things to do.
So what makes the Ex-Cop Donut Shop different from all the others?
Having your own donut shop and not being subject to a franchise, you have the creative ability to do whatever you want. And we've prided ourselves with coming up with pretty unique donuts. One being a maple glazed bacon donut, and also some other specialty, Butterfinger, espresso bean coffee donut, and just you're only limited to your creativeness as far as donuts. If you want something bad enough, you have to work. There's no easy way, there's no shortcuts. And especially starting off this business, we want to establish ourselves as being the place to go for quality and variety. So you want quality, you come to us.
With photographer Olivia Monez, I'm Dan Altman for Channel 97 News. Our boys and girls basketball teams are hoping to finish strong this year. Jamie Drago has this report.
Both our boy and girl basketball teams have had their ups and downs so far this season. They've had their fair share of obstacles.
One major difficulty is the inconsistency of our team. We haven't been able to play full quarters that we know that we're capable of this year. As an example, the Parkway South game where we lost on the buzzer beater. People overlook what happened in the beginning of that game where we turned the ball over the first 8 possessions of the game and stuff like that. So it's just the inconsistency and not playing up to the capability that we know we can.
Just sometimes lately in our games we haven't been coming out as hard as we should, and games that we know we can play up to a better potential, I guess.
While they've had their troubles, both teams are shooting for better results as they continue their season. Leading the team in scoring is Irvin Sarilik, averaging 16 points per game. After a win this Wednesday night, they enter the weekend with an 8-5 record.
So we know that we can get better, and once we play all 4 quarters and play as a team for those 4 quarters, then I know as a player it's going to be fun to play in, and it should be fun for the fans to watch.
Transfer student Ariana Cook is a key player leading the team in scoring with an average of 16 points per game. Another key player is Sydney Thompson, hoping to return after a serious back injury. With photographer Sam Nelms, I'm Jamie Drago for Channel 97 News.
It's time now for a new segment. Here's Robbie Obradovic with this month's commentary.
Kids these days have no imagination. Now hear me out, Oakville. Toys used to be so simple and imaginative. Nowadays, it's more like toys play with the kids rather than the kids play with the toys.
No, please.
I mean, back then, kids were given a coiled piece of metal or plastic, and it was like the most fun thing in the world to them.
That's incredible!
Now nearly all toys are electronic, most of them being games. I don't know about the rest of you, but every time I see a 5-year-old playing on an iPad, I get a little sick. Kids now are born into a world we used to dream about, with the exception of hoverboards, flying cars, and self-tying shoes. Back in the day, kids were stimulated for hours on end just by a simple doll or action figure, and that's all they needed. Now, I'm not saying companies should go back to making toys like lawn darts or sock and boppers, but I don't think toys should be robots with personalities. Ugh, creepy. A toy shouldn't be something that already has a story or personality, but what leaves it up to the kids' imagination to determine that. With Joe Keller Filming, thanks for listening, Oakville.
In just a few minutes, all students will go to Gym A for a special assembly. Laura has a story on what it's all about.
Here I am outside Gym A, where shortly we will be hearing from guest speaker Tina Meyer, who personally knows the consequences of cyberbullying. But first, let's take a look at how this event came about.
Ms. Unterreiner had an idea for an anti-cyberbullying campaign and wanted some help from Oakville students this year.
When I first went to the leadership class, we had an activity, and part of the activity was to get us started into thinking. We were divided into groups. Probably about a week later, after we had this discussion with the class, a number of students, probably about 7 or 8 of them, came down to my office and said they really wanted to contact Tina Meyer Foundation and have her come and be a speaker.
I think I was like talking to my mom, and she said something about Tina Meyer, so like I got to class the next day, and we looked her up on the computer and saw her number at the bottom of the screen, and Ben went ahead and called her.
We had no idea like how much it would cost or how booked that she was, and she was booked until January, so we decided it would be a good idea to make January our cyberbullying month.
I'm hoping that she will inspire other students and be an advocate, that students will be an advocate for other students that they see who are being bullied and stand up for them. I think we've done a great job. They've been more than wonderful with all the activities that they have planned and what they're going to do.
I think the leadership kids have been fabulous. They worked with Ms. Unterreiner to come up with their own ideas, and they've taken the initiative to secure the speaker. So they've been fabulous.
With photographer Alyssa Quinones, I'm Laura Pickler for Channel 97 News. Well, that wraps up this edition of Channel 97 News. Join us for our next show on February 1st, where we will feature an update on school safety.
And we will also have a story on next week's State Music Festival.
Thanks for watching. I'm Laura Pickler.
And I'm Dan Altman. Remember, Oakville, keep your eyes on the Tigers.
One of the shrewdest legal and political minds of our time.
Hello, Patriots! I don't think I've been this excited since we became a publicly traded company.